Welcome everyone to the Ontario Caregiver Organization's webinar series. These webinars bring together caregivers and subject matter experts to explore topics of interest to caregivers. We do this to support and engage chosen family, friends, and neighbors, really anyone who's caring for someone else. My name is Katie Muirhead and I'm going to be your moderator for today. We begin this gathering by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we're on today. While we meet on a virtual platform with people joining us from across the province, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we each call home. The land I'm standing on today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging this reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendships of Indigenous peoples. As a team at OCO, we are learning about the lands from which we work and exploring how we can be meaningful allies and how we can support the recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. We invite you to take a moment to reflect on the land where you are. And if you're not familiar with that, we'll be sharing an interactive map that tells you which traditional territory your city or town sits on. And you can find that at native-land.ca. So our webinar today is called Take a Breath, Tips from a Caregiver Coach. Caregiving is complicated. Knowing where to turn and how to care for yourself can be overwhelming, and caregiver coaches get it. They have real life experience, tips, and tools to help you. Today, we're joined by Suzanne McKenna, one of OCO's caregiver coaches. Suzanne has been a caregiver for 15 years and is a certified motivational interviewer and has 10 years experience as a System Navigator. Suzanne's going to join you in just a moment to share a lot more information with you about how to create a self-care plan and some practical activities that you can start doing today and share more helpful tools and resources. So I want to invite Suzanne to turn on her camera and her sound. Wonderful. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Katie, for that wonderful introduction. And I'd like to welcome everyone. Again, I'm so happy to be here today. And yes, I can actually brag about my wealth of experience as a caregiver. Caregiving for my son, Justin, for over 15 years has given me that important knowledge and expertise to share with other caregivers. So as you see, there are people living with a brain injury, with acquired brain injury. You can become very overwhelmed with without the proper supports. And I can help family caregivers deal with those difficult issues to improve the quality of life for themselves and their loved ones. I'm also grateful for being the recipient of the Champlain Lynn Trailblazer Award, the Service Delivery Excellence Award, and the Provincial CCAC Individual Staff Award. I understand firsthand the stresses that you can face on a daily basis, and as such, it's important to ensure you're taking care of yourself and know where to turn for help. As a caregiver coach and mentor, I encourage caregivers to give themselves the credit for doing the best they can in one of the toughest jobs there is. You are certainly heroes and survivors. So I not only get it, but I have the caregivers back, always with love. So enough about me, let's get started. So before we start, I'd like to try everybody, we've all had a busy day already. So let's have a 1-minute exercise. It's only 1 minute to settle. So let's take a moment and begin by getting rooted. That is sitting upright in your chair. Inhale all the way into your belly, pressing your feet into the floor. That helps to generate a sense of security in the moment. You may choose to close your eyes or keep them open. Just imagine yourself in a safe, peaceful place. What do you see, smell, and hear? And bring your attention to the here and now. Allow any waves of thoughts, physical sensations, or emotions to just be. No need to judge this moment or analyze it or figure things out. As I said, perhaps it's been a busy day and this is your first time stopping. What does it feel like to pause? To be in the moment. As we come to the end of the settling exercise, you may breathe out. You may sigh. You may yawn. Or you may feel the need to stretch. Did you know that the beauty of mindfulness is that over time, you train your brain and this skill becomes easier? So do congratulate yourself for taking this moment to pause. Now let's go back into the room. I'm so excited to share several learning objectives for this webinar. We'll start our session today by defining what a caregiver coach actually is. I get this asked so many times. You will gain knowledge of useful Ontario Caregiver Organization for OCO tools and valuable resources. We'll try some practical 5-minute self-help activities that you can do today. We've already done one already, and it only took 1 minute. And the most exciting part is that you'll be taught how to create your own self-care plan using tips from myself, a caregiver coach. So our first objective is, what is caregiver coaching? We know that it's not therapy or counseling. Caregiver coaches have real life experiences as caregivers and understand firsthand the stresses caregivers face on a daily basis. And those stresses can be navigating the healthcare system, but knowing how to navigate those stresses that come with the responsibilities, and myself as a coach guiding through your ups and downs while also essentially learning to care for yourself. So the caregiver is not alone. Caregiver coaching is a professional one-to-one relationship between a coach and a family caregiver. Basically, a caregiver coach is like your partner in caregiving. We're basically your cheerleading squad, your sounding board. So we walk you through these things together. A caregiver coach session is like having a conversation with a great listener to share your unique experience while supporting you to take action in your caregiving role and your personal self-care. So what does a coach really do? A coach clearly provides that valuable help and support. And like I said, you're not navigating this journey alone. You have your coach. You're together. You do it together. So the coach works together with you to develop a personalized action plan or goal-setting strategies, finding what's important to you, because we're all unique. And so your action plan will set out next steps to take, and I usually give a little bit of homework to follow up on. And this action plan, in turn, will help you figure out how to juggle caregiving with the rest of your life and responsibilities, and help to empower you to make the necessary changes within your caregiver role. A common comment I get a lot of is, am I doing all that I can as a caregiver? So a coach will help you leave no stones unturned by identifying resources you may not be aware of. Other strategies include resilience building strategies, focusing on those tailored to you and incorporating them into your daily or weekly routines. These can simply be cuddling your pet. They're not big things, but they can be huge in your eyes. Working in the garden. Or have you ever tried just laying in the grass and smelling the grass? Helping relieve or prevent feeling of burnout or distress, just as we've already done the 1-minute soothing exercise, and you're feeling stressed, isolated, and overwhelmed, your coach will explore well-being strategies to manage stress. As mentioned, I mentioned that the coach can help you find resources. The main resources among many are those two listed on this slide. The Ontario Caregiver Organization is there for you. The Caregiver Helpline is a 24-hour service. Just imagine 24 hours, so valuable to all of you. And the helpline is there to help you, but just keep in mind that it is not a distress line. The second resource on the slide is, as coaches, we often use the helpline.ca to find local and community services across Ontario. And by entering your postal code, you can find all the health services near you, basically one-stop shopping. The helpline also includes primary healthcare desktop resource guides for all different ailments or conditions. This is very useful as all service links are all listed in a nutshell with specific headings, making it user-friendly. So just always remember that with the help of a caregiver coach, these resources and others can be provided to you. So one very useful tool resource found on the OCO website is the Healthcare Journey Binder. This is definitely a wow. I have personally compiled one for my son, Justin, and can't describe the sense of relief after it was completed. I was so proud of this accomplishment that I instantly called each of Justin's siblings to let them know the location of the binder in the house and made sure to let them know if something happened to me, fell off a cliff, whatever, you have this binder with everything in it. Just a little background about this binder. It was created by caregivers and healthcare providers to help improve, obviously, the overall healthcare experience for people with an illness, disease, or medical condition. It can be used by anyone, so you don't have to be a caregiver, and just to manage those important healthcare information. In the past, before I created my healthcare journey binder, I had documents everywhere, contact information, little bits of paper everywhere with information. So after creating this binder, I had one place. So all my documents and information were kept in this one place, making it easier to organize and find health information. So you feel more in a sense of control, right? And every healthcare journey is different. So just keep in mind, they do come with templates, but the caregiver journey, the caregiver can make the healthcare journey work for them, and needs may change as the healthcare journey progresses. So you can modify the contents. I have one myself here, and I don't know if you can see it very well. I know I'm just a little picture on the screen, but you can see that I've even, I have all the templates in there, but I've adjusted things. I even have like a relationship circle, all the community supports my son has. And then just even the medications, therapies, and allergies that he has. And then another important section is your consent and legal matters, where I have is power of attorney, papers, etc., all in one place. So I have an electronic copy as well as a hard copy. And so I can emphasize again, it's a great tool indeed. So next, let's begin with the all-important tips for self-care. What we find stressful and what we find easy is different for everyone. It's the same with self-care. It's important to note that self-care is taking responsibility for your physical, mental, as well as emotional and spiritual needs. It is about our needs as opposed to our wants. So you have to take the time to experiment with different activities that nourish you. Perhaps something you've already done. Find different ways you can bring yourself peace when you're busy, joy when you're down, and energy when you're tired. I'll give you a few examples of self-care techniques that have worked for many caregivers I have coached, keeping in mind that every caregiver is unique. I've had many, actually quite a few, that have such a comfort with home baking. So home baking. And obviously right now, gardening is a huge one. Doing a puzzle. I know when I have a puzzle going in the wintertime, it just, through COVID, obviously, many people bought puzzles. It just gets your mind off all those things you may ruminate or worry about. And then do something purely for fun. I just can't emphasize that enough. All work and no play is a recipe for burnout. I exercise every morning at the same time each day so that I make sure I don't miss out on it, the routine. So any type of physical activity, walking outdoors obviously is highly recommended, and just taking that opportunity to forest bathe. And my favorite, creating an emotional escape room, a room in your house, or I've had some caregivers choosing their car, even a corner in your home, and making it your Zen den or your safe place. Now we'll try another soothing technique. I'll play this breathing exercise video demonstrating the 4x4 breath, also known as box breathing. It involves exhaling to a count of 4, holding your lungs empty for a 4 count, inhaling at the same pace, and holding air in your lungs for a count of 4 before exhaling and then beginning the pattern anew. So let's begin.
So the 4x4 technique is a breath exercise. In the yoga tradition, it's pranayama. Pranayama just means breath control. The Navy SEALs use it as part of their training to help regulate their parasympathetic nervous system. The great thing about the 4x4 breath is that you can do this technique anywhere. So yes, we have to make time for our own self-care. If you're driving a car, you can be doing your 4x4 breath. When you're cooking, you can be doing your 4x4 breath. All you need to do is sit up nice and tall. You can close your eyes, dumping whatever's in those shoulders out. I express any air that's left in my body all the way out, and then I begin my inhale, and I'm going to breathe in for a count of 4. I'm going to hold my breath right at the top of the inhale, and I'm just holding that for a count of 4. Then I'm going to begin the exhale through the nostrils, again for a count of 4. Then I'm holding this breath out at the base of the exhale for a count of 4. And then I begin the cycle again.
Doesn't it feel great? I don't know, such a wonderful in-the-moment breath technique. You can use it even before you go to bed as a sleep enhancer. So simple, just breathing and counting. It is recommended that you practice 1 or 2 times a day if you can, regardless of how you're feeling. Like first thing in the morning or after a stressful day. Another tip is to begin a gratitude journal. Create an attitude of gratitude. Adopting an attitude of gratitude every day can have a profound effect on every aspect of your life. A gratitude practice actually trains the brain to be more in tune with experiencing gratitude. A positive plus a positive equal more positives. So as a coach, I provide some tips on how to make their attitude of gratitude second nature. such as the slide says, starting each day with gratitude. Each morning, when you wake up, write down 3 things you're grateful for. It can be as small as cream in your coffee, or as large as, of course, our kids. Just 3 wonderful things having a positive impact in your life. It can be 3 accomplishments from the past week. Again, it can be small. Getting caught up with your laundry feels big to me, or big, that dreaded lengthy phone call. And as you know, we all sometimes have negative thoughts. So shift your focus during the day. When they pop up, force yourself to replace them with something you're grateful for. So, speaking of gratitude, do I have a challenge for you? Why don't we take a moment now and share in the chat the answer to some of these questions here. Think of a person who can make you laugh, a favorite spot in your home, or think of an activity you love to do. I can think of many desserts that I can't get enough of, or someone who believes in you. Now I'll play some music as you insert your responses, and when the music stops, Katie, our host, will share a sampling of your responses. Okay, let's begin. So that didn't take long. Let's write 5 things down. How you can share some of those things, Katie?
It's so hard to not nod your head and bop along to that theme song.
I can't help it. You want to dance.
So we've got some great responses from folks in the chat expressing how they find, feel, and are grateful for things. Certainly drinking fresh coffee in the morning is one of them. Lots of comments on partners, relationships, boyfriends, husbands that can make me laugh. And laughter is certainly so important, especially when we're going through some difficult times. Husband and work partners, your son, my couch. Yes, I love a good couch.
I love it.
Garden, Oreos, lots of spouses and special places. Maybe that's something, alluding to your emotional escape room that you mentioned earlier. So lots of great feedback and ice cream and reading and crocheting, doing nothing. Sometimes
that's a great answer. I love that answer.
Yes, so magical in just sitting and experiencing nothing. So thank you to everyone for participating in our fun little activity. Lots more comments are flowing through, and I hope that those suggestions of places to find gratitude inspire you to find some gratitude in new places. For you, my daughter, Nutella with a spoon, cheesecake. I'm sensing a theme here. Couches, comfortable spaces, food, and people that you love.
Oh, I love it. Just writing all that out just makes you feel better, just hearing it. So you can also check out the OCO website, everyone, to view the webinar called Discover the Healing Power of Journal Writing. So now let's get back to some stress-reducing activities. So if we can't control the causes of stress in our lives, we can always control how we react. Some activities can help you control negative emotions, build emotional strength, and reduce stress. So let's explore some other stress reducing activities like we did in the past 2 activities we did. So here you go, coloring, eh? That's you must have heard of that. Coloring, as you can see on the slide, studies have shown that coloring can be a useful tool to help relieve anxiety and or reduce stress. And many caregivers have told me that enjoy coloring for this very reason. There's sources for adult coloring pages on the internet, or maybe it doesn't have to be adult coloring pages. I like coloring with my grandchildren. And it will be available also in our references at the end of the presentation. So now let's get ready. We're going to do another self-soothing activity, which is quite different, and we'll do it together. So this involves touch. It increases the serotonin in the brain, which in turn can help us relax further. You're probably going to have a hard time getting back to work after this. You'll be so sleepy. Do you notice how often we do certain gestures automatically when we're tired or worried or stressed? For example, we say, "Oh, I'm glad it's over." And then you're rubbing your forehead. Or another example, like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Resting your face in your hands or rubbing your face when you're worried, like this gentleman in the picture. Or "I'm so exhausted," and then you're rubbing your arms. So now let's intentionally use these same gestures in this soothing activity. Find a word for the positive state of being you want to achieve, such as peace, joy, patience, comfort, calm, love, relaxation. I chose the word patience for this, for example. So we're going to repeat this word 3 times aloud while tapping the chest. Patience, patience, patience. Then we'll do these movements or these gestures. Swipe your hand across your forehead with one hand and use the other hand to swipe across the forehead. So remember that all your gestures and movements are done slowly and gently. Dry wash your face with your hand. Slowly and gently. Rub your hands from side to side. And dry wash the hand. Next, rub both arms one at a time to the elbows. Cross your arms, then stroke and massage them from the elbows to the shoulders. Uncross the arms by passing the hands across the chest and then place the hands on the knees. Rub the thighs with the palm of your hands and repeat the word patience. 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 Take a moment to be still, closing your eyes and breathing normally. Now you can open your eyes and come back to the room. Congratulations! You've done another great soothing technique. So now let's think about our plan. Everybody's sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for this, I know. It all starts with being self-aware, self-reflect. It's important to know your emotions and when you're reaching your limits, you've had it, and knowing what offers you care. So You might be thinking about which OCO tool will I use? We've done a few stress reducer activities. Which one can I try? What kind of resources am I looking for? What else might I need for my own self-care? Your plan may look like this. In this slide, the goals include regularly using a gratitude journal, practicing one of those breathing or stress reducing activities, or research caregiver supports on the Ontario Caregiver website. And how will you put those general goals into action? Just remember, you don't have to have time constraints, and keep in mind that your goal can be small. In the eyes of a caregiver, small is big. Perhaps one thing I will do this week is to write 5 things I'm grateful for in my new journal. It's all about practicing, and eventually the routine becomes a way of life, a good habit. All keeping in mind that small changes can make a big difference. Other sample goals and to-dos could include working on how to get the sleep you really need. And your to-do could be watching the Healthy Sleeping Habits webinar on the OCO website. I know my recharging daily is some physical activity, and the to-do could be a mindful walk a specific time each day to implement a routine, and that can be your recharging. And again, I have to stress having fun. Never stop celebrating your accomplishments. Perhaps watching a good comedy on TV. Oh, I have to give you an example of singing and dancing like no one's listening. I just this morning, listening or watching. I have 3 grandchildren here with me today, and we had the Ghostbuster song on, and I jacked up the volume and we started dancing like no one is watching. And then there was a 6-year-old, 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and the 6-year-old says, "What if there was really a ghost?" And we all said, "We call Ghostbusters." So we had so much fun. So, and one of my favorite caregiver prescriptions that kind of relates to that is to laugh, laugh, laugh. Up to 15 times a day if you can, and give and receive hugs, and about 8 hugs per day. So as we come to the end of the presentation, there's some references from the presentation that I referred to, as well as some resources from the OCO website. I thank you so much. I know that this recording will be available for everyone. The slides will be available for everyone. And I will turn it over to Katie for questions. And I just love questions.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Suzanne, for sharing your experience and your knowledge with our audience today. We do have some time for questions from everybody who's joined us. So if folks have questions, comments, feedback, please feel free to put that into the chat box. And Suzanne will do her best to respond.
I'll do my best to answer.
That's great. That's right. So we did have a question come in earlier about whether or not, being a caregiver to a person with Alzheimer's could, connect to PTSD. And unfortunately, Suzanne and I are not doctors. We're not here to diagnose or prescribe. But what I will encourage you to do, or others who've had that question, because it is a question that's come through from other caregivers as well, is how impactful and how does caregiving affect another person to the extent, can it affect them to the point of trauma? We are having a webinar in September on just that, on PTSD and the impact on caregiving. So please, we'll have that information for you at the end of the session. So you can sign up and learn a lot more from those subject matter experts at that time. We do have a question from Janice asking, where do we find the caregiver journal binder, the caregiver journey binder on our website? So maybe my trusty colleague in the back, oh, she just posted it in the chat there, so folks can find it. Marnie's on top of things. you can find the My Caregiving Journey binder at that link there, and feel free to print it out and customize it to whatever your needs are. And I don't know, Suzanne, if you want to talk a bit about the customization, if that's something you had to do, or if there were things in there that you wanted to add.
Yes, I definitely changed mine because I just tweaked it according to my son. He's young still, so, and his journey is not ending. It's a constant changing all the way through. So if I look at, I brought it today, so if I look at it, so his name obviously is on the front. I have actually added in, and I mentioned that in case some people didn't hear it, a relationship circle. It's so, and you probably can't see it, it's too much light, but the relationship circle is so crucial because of course you have your family, and then you have the current paid supports, and then you may have free funded community supports. It could be, in my instance, the Lions Club has helped out my son so often. The Kin Club, my son is a member of the Kin Club, and they're supporting him to take him to different events and sit with him because he needs someone with him all the time. And the Russell Fire Hall, the fire hall in itself is a huge one because they invite him to different demonstrations, and they consider him a comrade or a bro. And then we also have friends and acquaintances. That's so crucial. Friends, the ones that are really staying, right? There's the ones that are staying at your side. And so I have that all written out so that then it really helps out. So I've tweaked that. And then I've also added in, just contact information of all the different people, because there's so many people involved in his life. So their phone number, their email, whatever, it's all in one nutshell. And then I've used the actual journey binder templates where there's, special considerations. So I write it in. He has a mobility device. He has a risk of falling, and it's just check boxes. So it's so easy to use. So yeah. So, I mean, if anybody wants more information on it, they can certainly, and I just even included, wait lists that he's on for housing, etc. And even have what the support contact information is crucial. So
yeah, so it's great to know that it's customizable, and you can, because everybody's experience is so unique, right? We may have those shared things, but there's also so many unique things based on where you live and who your formal circle of care is, or like you say, family and friends, that informal but really important circle of care. And there's some comments in here about some folks have made their own and they didn't know it existed. So this could be a great way to double check and see, oh, maybe here's a great idea from this binder to add to my existing binder collection of information. So we do have a question about how do you become a caregiver coach? And Suzanne, maybe I'll share, our path is a little bit different with this. So right now, I guess if you're comfortable, Suzanne, I might maybe answer that question.
Of course.
And then you jump in and fill in any of the blanks. So if anyone on the call today is ever interested in working with us or volunteering with us, we do have a wonderful engagement lead who coordinates all of that work. So if you're interested in becoming a caregiver coach or a peer mentor or giving back because you feel like you have a lot of experience and knowledge to support other caregivers with, I would encourage folks to go on our website and fill out a really quick, I think it's a survey, to express interest in becoming more involved with OCO. And then our engagement lead will reach out to you and have a good chat with you to see where it might be a good fit to connect. I don't know at this time that we're looking to add to our coaching roster, but certainly that's never permanent and things are ever changing. So please, if you're interested in joining us and working alongside OCO as a volunteer, please feel free to fill out that form and we will connect with you. So I'm wondering, Suzanne, so having been a caregiver myself and also worked so closely with so many caregivers, we know that sometimes we don't feel like we even have the time. You shared some really wonderful, quick and easy strategies to calm, to bring things down a little bit, to practice gratitude. But I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about how often do you hear from those folks that you're coaching, I just don't have the time. goal setting is great, but I don't know how I'm even going to fit it in. And if that's something that you hear often, and if so, what kinds of strategies do you suggest for those people that are just feeling really overwhelmed and are really struggling to incorporate on a regular basis some things to help them so they can continue to help their loved ones?
Okay, yes, I do get that quite often. They're just, well, those are the caregivers that I get referred, and they're just so overwhelmed. And then, we start our sessions actually just, okay, let's like do a settling or a breathing exercise just to, okay, because they're so overwhelmed, there's so much they want to say. So yes, and then I can also just relate to it, because I was in that boat where, oh, I don't have time, that like being like thinking that I'm going to take care of myself when and you get the old line, well, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your loved one. And I get tired of hearing that, so I never say that to my caregivers. We know that, but you know what, I have to emphasize again, it can be just a little thing. It doesn't have to be big. And when we're doing our, we're always doing our to-dos and wondering, everything is always for the person we're taking care of. But just add one little to-do for yourself to that list. It doesn't have to be, like I have actually, in the wintertime, being like, I feel like you have cabin fever, caregiving all the time, and actually went outside for 5 minutes and walked around the house 5 times. And you know what? I felt really good. Just getting outdoors is huge. So we concentrate on small things. And then you start seeing the benefits of it and say, oh, okay. And so when you're doing your to-do, I also recommend that you do it before you go to bed. And not to make it too big, because if you do it before you go to bed, there's less chance of your brain ruminating in the night about what you have to do the next day. If it's already written on a piece of paper, there's 5 things or whatever, then you'll do it. I know I'm a little off topic, but that works. It's evidence-based that it does work. If you write these things down, then your brain is not ruminating in the night, waking you up, and then you're not getting as much of a restful sleep. So I guess the answer to your question is small. It's not like you're making a big to-do list of things to do for yourself. And maybe you're already doing it, but you don't even realize it. You are doing some self-care, and just focus on it though. Focus on it. Like just think, when I'm reading my book, I read all the time. Okay, so you read. That's a self-care. And maybe make sure you do that every night and whatever. And then if you want to make yourself laugh, even if your kids or your grandchildren aren't close by, call them. And I had one caregiver, she was just laughing. She says, that's my medication. And she said, I laugh because I see them, because they don't have any cares in the world, right? If we were all like children, we wouldn't be worried. So I hope that helps answer your question. Small.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And one of the tips that I often encourage caregivers to think about is, to your point of, oftentimes caregivers are tired of hearing, those put the oxygen mask, take care of yourself, take care of others, take a bath, go for a walk.
I know, it's so boring. I know.
It is, but what I encourage folks to do is along the same lines as you, is pick something small and pick something for you. For me, if I sat in a bathtub, I'm going to think about all my to-do lists and everything I need to do. But if I'm doing something active, because it's how I work, that's better for me. Exactly. Or watching those YouTube videos of cats that make you giggle and laugh. Laughter is so important. And we do have a number of other webinars for folks to learn about things like Suzanne mentioned, forest bathing and resiliency strategies and other ways that you can sort of incorporate things that are really just for you, that work for you. And it's just about finding those little moments and building them into your day in order to keep going and feel good. Let's see what else is in our active chat. There's so many great comments about how wonderful these resources have been. One comment I often hear from caregivers is that these self-care practices are only temporary band-aids and don't solve their problems. What would be your response to caregivers feeling this way?
That it's not lasting? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, that it's just sort of, okay, great, I go for a walk, but then I come home and the house is chaotic and I need to clean up 6 messes. So it kind of washes away that walk. So it's just sort of a Band-Aid solution versus a longevity approach to health and well-being.
I know it's still there. It's reality check. Like we're not going to escape, and it's just I know. I want to talk about the emotional escape room. You need to escape, but then when you come back, at least you've done a little bit of something for yourself. I know it doesn't solve everything, but the more I did mention to you that the more that you do it, the more your brain starts to condition itself to say, maybe this is working, like this is actually working, but you have to keep doing it. You have to really, sometimes you have to force yourself. I know it's a hard thing to say, but sometimes I'm guilty. I say, oh gee, I really don't feel like doing a workout this morning, but I know how I'm going to feel after, so I do it. So you just, the more you do it, the more you'll start. So no, it's not a magic cure. You're not going to come back and everything is gone. But you know that you're benefiting and you're taking care of yourself. And I think and we know if we take care of ourselves, then we're more able to continue caregiving. So the benefits outweigh everything. So yeah, I wish I had a magic answer for that, but it just disappears. Unless you have something, Katie, for that one. That was a hard one.
It is a hard one. And I think that the reality of caregiving is it doesn't just go away. You don't get to turn it off and walk away and forget that it ever happened. This is something for most people that they deal with every day, for many people all day long, and it's inserting itself throughout your day. So I think it's also important to remember that the strategies that we're suggesting, the tools and resources that we have, the intention is not to make everything, we're not sunshine and rainbows all the time. It's not going to make it all go away, but it's going to help you feel better while you're doing it. And it's going to help you to know that there's an end to some of these things. And when we get through those hard parts, we can reset, we can restart, and we can continue on.
Oh, that's so perfect, Katie. And I just want to celebrate your accomplishments. Give yourself a pat in the back. You are a hero. Believe me, you guys are heroes, survivors. You're heroes, survivors. Whoever has you as a friend has a genuine quality friend. And you're serving. I was talking to Remy this morning. You're Marnie this morning, and just the fact that you're serving every day is miraculous, and you are a survivor.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do find this idea of an emotional escape room really interesting. And I think you have lots of examples of that. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about what you mean.
Okay, can you see mine? Mine is back here.
Okay.
You can see a little bit here. So you see those comfy, cushy pillows. You see those nice flowers, candles. This is my room. I close the door and somebody better not be knocking. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I go here. I have my book. I have a scented candle. Some people use, lavender is nice. I just love our cover page for our Take a Breath webinar, because it just gives you a sense of peace just looking at that lavender. So just think of having those scented lavender, if you like that, or other scented oils in your room. I rub my hands with a special lavender oil, and oh my gosh, and I just inhale it, and then I go to my book, and then I get my mind off all the stuff that I got to do tomorrow. So an emotional escape room can look different for everyone. And it doesn't have to be a room. It can just be a corner of your house. So keep in mind that you don't have to start decorating. Some people have, I've had examples of people that turn their sewing room into an emotional escape room with nice signs about peace. And then also a lazy boy chair with their favorite cuddly blanket and by the window. And then they just sit there and have time out, even during the day. It could be just 5 minutes, but you have a room to go to. And even if you have to yell or scream or cry, you're there. That's your little emotional escape room.
It's your own safe space.
Yes.
Yes. It's your own private space that no one gets to mess up or modify or take advantage of. It's for you. And I love that idea. And I think you gave some great examples that for some people, it might be your car. For some people, it might be your garage. you know,
Exactly.
it could be your backyard, it could be anywhere, but as long as it's for you, as long as it's for you. We have a sort of a question comment here. After 10 years of caregiving and using all of the self-care practices, how do you overcome the feeling of hopelessness in your life passing you by? It's a big, big question.
Oh my gosh, I know that's sort of the power of hope. That's called almost like hope fatigue. But every day that you live, you always have hope, because you get up in the morning, you're going through your motions and going through. Believe me, I know I've been over 15 years and I've had those feelings sometimes. But when I started, and I'm an example, started doing the self-care, and I've been doing it more often than ever. I'm telling you, your brain starts to get conditioned. I know it sounds like da 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 da, but it does. And you start feeling a little bit better, and you're prioritizing yourself. And you know what? You see everybody on Facebook and how great lives they have. And that's one of the places I stay away from, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're on every trip and going to every, and how really, how happy are they? Like, so some people aren't. So just really put things into perspective. There's always hope. There's always hope, and to never give up. And remember, just one day at a time. Never go past that day, because the more we think 2 days ahead or whatever, there's no point, because we don't know what can happen. Like in my case, my son just instantly just had an accident, and then we're caregivers instantly for the past over 15 years. So like, we don't know what will happen. So the best thing is to just be in the moment. I hope that helps. I know that's hard.
Oh, absolutely. And we had a comment from one of our attendees as well about, all of these self-care practices teach us to spend more time in the present. And sometimes I think and again, always easier said than done. But sometimes, it's about context and acknowledging that this is what it is. And today I choose to do it this way. And today might not be a good day, but tomorrow I'm going to start again, and we're going to try again, and we're going to keep going. So, thinking about.
Katie, you know what? When you say tomorrow, you bring another day. You don't have to wait till tomorrow.
No,
you can say you started your bad day till 11 o'clock. Like I've had that. So when you get the phone call or the email that, oh my gosh, more work I got to get done, because you're managing another person's life. You're doing you're doing your life and another person's life. And then I said at lunchtime, I said, okay, I'm going to start my day over again. I'm starting over fresh, putting that behind me, and I'm going to have a good day now. Like, we just start fresh halfway through the day if you have to. Yeah. You don't have to wait.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Absolutely. It's about shifting the mindset and acknowledging that, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of doing this, it can wear you down.
Of course.
And so being able to talk to other caregivers, being able to express how you're feeling, trying different things, it's all those strategies to keep you going and keep you moving. So I think that's all the time we have for today. We have a few minutes left. So I want to thank you again, Suzanne, for joining us and sharing so much wonderful information about what it is to be a caregiver coach and strategies that can help caregivers, and really being so open about your personal caregiving experience, providing some wonderful tips and strategies so that things that people can start using today.